Welcome to the Guide to Growing Mistake. I'm your host, Richard Mariel, and I don't know why I call myself a host because I'm the one who talks. So today I'm talking about something topical for the time that we live in. Talking about politics and family. Um, Not just politics, but religion, politics, things that we as people seem to disagree on no matter what, or at least that's what we're told every day. If you watch the news, if you watch TikTok, if you watch any social media, you hear people say things like, if your family doesn't agree with you, you should cut them off, or if your family believes this, then they're no good and they're evil, and we should all stop hanging out with those people, and we can't talk about politics, we can't talk about religion. Um, Thanksgiving time, you can't talk about politics around the table. Christmas time, same thing. So I was wondering to myself, I grew up in a very political household, very far left leaning political household. Um, Talked about it before. I've also, my church, quote unquote, church going was more as a show than an actual belief. And so I started getting interested to think who else grew up like that and did they follow their parents' footsteps or did they go the opposite? And was it important to the parents? So I was doing some research and I realized in today's world that, of course, they have polls for everything. And, the poll I looked at was uh, teens and basically, 18 to 24-year olds, if they share the same political beliefs as their parents, and is it important or not? So, political beliefs, 81% of Republican parents want their children to either lean Republican or be a Republican. 15% don't care. Like they're fine with being Democrat, and the other 4% are like, whatever. Democrat leaning parents, 8% want them to be Democrats. 89% lean Democrat or independent, 4% Republican. Same thing with church, though. If you look at it, 82% of Protestant parents want their children to be Protestant, two Catholic, and then the rest don't care. Catholic parents, 3% say they have to be Catholic, 81% says they have to be religious of some sort, and the rest don't care. But here's the funny part: people who have no religious affiliation, so they list as no religion. They're still okay with 5 and 5, 5% Protestant, 5% Catholic. In other words, they don't, they're fine with their children being religious as long as they don't have to be. And then I was thinking to myself, okay, so that's one poll. What does that say? That says that we, a lot of parents try to get us to mimic who they are. I was not one of them. My mother, father, older sister, very liberal. My grandparents liberal. My great grandparents liberal. Everybody liberal. I'm not liberal. Never tried to be liberal. Probably won't be liberal tomorrow. Uh, we cohabitated. We lived. We existed. According to social media, we should all hate each other. For some reason we don't, so I think we're okay. Here's the fun part. So I looked it up again. I said, in the past 4 years, how much have political differences hurt your relationship with your family? According to the news, it's like huge. We're going to be like, no one's talking to each other. No one's dealing with anything. Everything is just crazy. We all hate each other, dogs and cats fighting. Okay. 66% said it affects us. Zero. Not at all. 18% a little. Moderate, 10. A lot, 3. A great deal, 3. So that tells me, again, social media, mainstream media, they lie. Uh, they need clicks. If you're left or right leaning, or if you're center leaning, or you're just a person, everyone must know that the industry of the news, the industry of social media, the industry that we live in today for getting resources is all based off of money. Money is made through clicks or people turning to those channels. We wouldn't have people out there like Mr. Beast. We wouldn't have people out there like the Logan brothers. We wouldn't have people out there um, like Trump himself, President Trump himself. probably wouldn't exist in the world today if we didn't have income based media. Good, bad, or ugly, MSNBC has to say, or CBS or ABC has to say, Trump brings money. He's a negative person for a lot of them. A lot of the news stations have admitted they're not exactly his biggest fan, but when he's on their television or on their website, he brings in clicks or eyeballs. Eyeballs equal money. Just like Fox News, more right leaning. Trump brings the money, but when they have Kamala on for an interview, even if it goes great for Kamala's scam, they said she did great, they can twist it, they make money. It's all about the dollar bills. I don't care if you call yourself fair and balanced. I don't care if you say America's most watched, whatever baloney you want to say. It's all about money. And it used to be different, and I know that, and I'm sounding old. I know that also. Um, it used to be that you get the newspaper the next day, or you watch 6:30 News with Walter Cronkite or Tom Brokaw or Dan Rather, and they just give you the news. No opinion, just news. You get the paper in the morning. Paper in the morning would say, "This is what happened." Associated Press. This is what happened. When Kennedy got shot, they didn't say Kennedy got shot by a right wing extremist who was pro Nixon. It just said Lincoln, Kennedy was shot. This is who did it. He had ties to this, this, and this. Then the shooter got killed. It didn't say, a left wing nutbag went and shot Lee Harvey Oswald. It had enough. They didn't do that. That wasn't how it was reported. But today, we've had a couple attempts on Donald Trump's life, and because of that, well, this guy is a left wing radical. He's been here. He's been here. Look at him on social media. We have him protesting this and saying we have to go to that. It's always someone giving us divisiveness, trying to separate us. And I've talked about this before. I was a teacher in January 6th, very divisive day. And the day itself didn't know what was happening. No idea. The next day, January 7th, I had to teach a US government class. And the parents and the administration were all worried about what I was going to say. Now, I taught at a private school. You think, oh, well, these people are probably agreeing with them and they're all right wing nutbags and blah, 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 blah. No, I was told very clearly I need to be very, very careful with what I say because we don't want to rock the boat and upset a child or upset their parents. I don't think it had anything to do with the kids. I think it was 150% their parents. So, I basically said, hey, a lot of people went. 99% of them were perfectly fine. The 1% were violent and stupid. It doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter who you think won. It doesn't matter, what your parents believe. No one has the right to cause violence on somebody else, which is true. You can say, oh, Trump won the election in 2020 and this was all conspiracy and they were just trying to take the Capitol back. Screw that. You don't take the Capitol back by force. You don't do it. You never should do it. You never will. It's just not how it goes. Because if it was the other way around, people would be like, oh my God, the Democrats are being so violent. You know what? They were both stupid. Now, not to say I agree with Trump, not to say that I agree with people who are anti-Trump. All I'm trying to say is violence begets violence, and that violence can make people say and do dumb things. The riots after the George Floyd incident, the riots in the 90s with Rodney King, the Black Lives Matter movement that started off as a peaceful idea, turning violent. African Americans and white people burning down black owned businesses for the sake of black lives make no sense to me. I don't care which side you're on, who you are, who you support. I don't care if you support a unicorn for president. Violence does not work. It scares people, it scares kids, it scares adults, it scares people who can't fathom the idea that this many people would do something so heinous and angry because their guy lost, or because the police department didn't do enough, or because they wanted to burn down a town. Okay. My point of all this, of course, is that since 1865, our country has still been divided. We were divided during Prohibition. We were divided during the Civil Rights Movement with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. We were divided in the 80s with Reaganomics. We were divided in the 90s with Bush and the Iraq War. We were divided in the 2000s with, you know, George Bush, the next one, and Afghanistan and Iraq. We were divided when Bill Clinton was president in between the two Bushes because he was, not having sexual relations with a woman, but he was. Um, People who spoke up against the Clintons magically died. We are against them too. Then Obama came president, and we are against him because was he born here? Was he not? He was probably born here. I don't care. Okay, you do you. We keep finding reasons to argue over the dumbest things. When Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address, which I said last week to start the program, he was a tired, worn out man who had smallpox and couldn't fathom the picture that he saw when he went to Gettysburg, and just realized that his country, the thing that he lived every day for, the thing that he strived every day to protect, the thing he wanted to grow and to be better, he couldn't fathom the loss. He couldn't fathom the destruction. When he gave the Gettysburg Address, what he was trying to point out was this divide, this political divide. It needed to end. It needed to end because people were dying who had nothing to do with the political divide. When the South seceded and, their side said, we're going to be our own country. And Lincoln's like, don't do that. And what happened was we decided to put men in a battlefield against people they knew over a topic that 85% of them had nothing to do with. Well, Richard, it was about slavery. It wasn't just that. The South was just angry. They were trying to preserve slavery, but they also had trade issues. They also had money issues. They also had representation issues. They seceded because honestly, they didn't know what else to do. Jefferson Davis got 11 states together. They seceded, and America couldn't take it. We started fighting each other. When did we start fighting each other? We started with towns who were right next to each other. One was the South, one was the North. It was duh. So people in communities, next door neighbors, were now told they're your enemy. I couldn't wake up tomorrow and say, hey, guess what, Richard? Your next door neighbor, now your job is to kill them because they're your enemy. That's stupid. And Lincoln had seen this. He said, the hallowed ground. He didn't say the hallowed ground for the dead of the North. He didn't say the hallowed ground for the dead of the South. The hallowed ground that these men have given the ultimate sacrifice for. I'm pretty sure Lincoln would not be happy with us right now. I'm pretty sure Washington would not be happy with us right now. I'm really sure Martin Luther King wouldn't be happy with us right now. And that's because we've lost our gosh darn mind. We've lost our mind to the point where, according to the news media, we all hate each other. According to polling, we don't. You can't go and do anything political in public because if you're in the wrong place in public and you say the wrong thing, people swarm on you like you've just awakened the Antichrist. I live in the North, Maine, very Democratic, very Democrat. We're very blue. We have like a section of Maine that's red. The rest of it, not red. We're all blue. Okay. I'm not blue. If you don't know me well enough, I'm not pretty blue leaning. Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Vermont. You can pretty much all of New England, you can just pencil in Democrat. Okay. It's just how it goes normally. In the 80s, depending on who was running, Reagan didn't lose the North. It's just was Reagan. He was powerful. But according to the news and according to everyday life, if I come out as a Trump supporter up here, I hate women. I'm racist. I hate the LGBTQ plus community. I hate progressiveness. I want the world to come to an end because I want a dictator. Now, if I go down to Kentucky and I have the same beliefs I do, magically, I'm normal. Everyone loves me. Not a big deal. Go Trump, America. Now, if I go down there and I support Kamala Harris, she's a communist. You understand she's ruining the country, the price of gas, the price of coffee, the price of everything's gone up. It's all her fault. All the illegal immigrants coming to our country. What is wrong with us people? Why would you vote for her? We're doing the same thing again. The South and the North disagree. Now, here's a problem with our general election and our system as a whole is we have the Electoral College, which is, I believe, a fairly good system. Now, it's not perfect. There's no such thing as perfect, okay? Some people want to be a popular vote. Now, popular vote means New York, Florida, Texas, California, Illinois, Pennsylvania, those 6 states, maybe 7, if they all vote for one candidate as a majority, that person won. Okay. Electoral College is supposed to make it that every state has so much value. Okay. It's the amount of House of Representative members you have. Now, Trump won more states than Biden did in 2020. But it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter because Biden won more Electoral College votes. And then you go, well, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because most of us live in a society where majority rules. Here's my thought. Now, probably someone said this before, and I just don't remember it because, I'm old. Every state gets 2 votes equally. If you win the state, you get 2. If your state split like Nebraska and Maine, 1 and 1, say the northern Maine votes Trump and southern Maine votes Kamala, they each get 1. The first one to a majority of out of 100. So California's worth 2 votes, Wisconsin's worth 2 votes, Minnesota's worth 2 votes. Everybody's got 2 votes. You get the majority of the country deciding. Not, hey, you have to get you're going to get the South because you're a Republican. You're going to get the North because you're a Democrat. You're going to get the far West if you're a Democrat. You're going to get Central of America, the American Midwest and central area like, Kansas, and Arkansas, and Oklahoma, because you're a Republican. Every state gets two votes. Two. We know if you get 51 votes, the other one gets 49, you won. That means you got the majority. Boom. Scoreboard over, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay. We don't do it that way either. It's amazing when I look at how Trump lost in 2020. I see these states and I think to myself, he won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15, 17, 19, 21. He won 27 states. Biden won 23 states. Biden won the presidency. Now, great. Good for him. Electoral college worked. It's great. We wouldn't have the Democrats or the Republicans stole the election if it was just simple 1 + 1 = 2. 2016, Hillary, after losing, said she didn't lose. Donald Trump wasn't the real president because she won the popular vote, but he won the electoral college. It's going to continue to happen when we use this system. I like the system better than California's got 30 million people, however, how many. New York, a lot of people. It's just crazy if you add those two states together and wonder to yourself, how am I supposed to uh, do anything except for try to win those two states? The state of New York has 20 million people. New York City has 8 million of that. New York City is 99% Democrat. So they're going to, you're going to say, okay, Trump, he's not going to win New York. Now, he gives more tax dollars to New York than most everybody else. California's got 40 million people, of which most of that, again, was in LA, San Francisco. Those areas are predominantly Democrat. Out of 180 to 200 million voters, two states have 70 million of them. That's ridiculous. So that's why popular votes can't work, unfortunately. Now, back to my original thought. I love my family. I have kids who are definitely not as right leaning as I am. I have kids who are very, very left leaning. But we can eat dinner together. We can have a discussion. And normally, we don't hate each other. So is the news media wrong? Or am I just special? I really feel like the news media is just wrong. The news media is wrong because they have nothing else to talk about. If they're not talking about how this election is dividing us and destroying the fabric of our democracy, what are they going to talk about? Well, Donald Trump today served French fries at McDonald's and everybody was happy. Well, we don't do that. No, instead it's Donald Trump served French fries at McDonald's and McDonald's didn't give him permission, even though it's franchised. And look at all of these negative Yelp reviews all of a sudden at this McDonald's. And people gave negative Yelp reviews. Why? Because Donald Trump was there. And it was just a show for the media because he said Kamala didn't work at McDonald's because no one knows if she did. And then Kamala, does her thing. And, how dare she do just so much anger. Kamala responded to when someone said Jesus is Lord that you're at the wrong rally. So let's destroy her and attack her. And we don't listen to politicians and political figures' ideas and look at them as human beings. We look at them as snippets on social media. We look at them as sound bites that we can get riled up about either positively or negatively. And then we bring those sound bites to our families to prove that we're right about something. And I don't do that. Now, has Kamala Harris said a lot of things that I don't agree with? Absolutely. Donald Trump has too. Do I more lean towards Donald Trump's ideology for certain things for this country? Yes. Is there certain parts of his ideology that I do not care for? Yes. Unfortunately, he is the better of two evils. Now, you could say, then just don't vote. You can't complain if you don't vote. I read online that a lot of um, Christians, a lot of religious people aren't voting this election because they don't know who to vote for because Kamala believes in things that we as Christians don't like. And then there's Donald Trump, who has had affairs, who has done things, said things, and expressed beliefs in things that, again, make you feel a little dirty. So then you think to yourself, I just won't vote. It's easier not to vote than to have to make a decision. That's dumb. Because here's the issue. If we only make decisions when it's easy, this world would never spin. If you go all the way back in time, there was a time where in the Bible it talks about how Abraham was told by God to sacrifice his child, his firstborn, his only born, his true son that God promised him for 100 years or ridiculous amount of time. Abraham didn't say, I just won't go to the mountaintop. I just won't listen to God. He made the hard decision. He brought this child up, started making the altar. Puts his son down. Magically, a sacrificial lamb shows up. Boom, God says, sacrifice a lamb. You're free. Your son is great. Yay. Abraham had to make the hard decision. He made the hard decision. And he was rewarded by basically being able to get out of the hard decision. Jesus could have run away. Peter could have run away. He did a couple times, but he always came back. Paul, Saul, same thing. John, there are people in the Bible who had tough decisions. Now, not biblical. Okay. Washington could have just said, you know what, guys, I don't like living with a monarch, but I really don't think we should go to war. Well, I'm just going to sit this one out, let you all do it, okay? Lincoln, hey, guys, the South wants to just leave. You know what we should do? Just let them go. Let them go. It's okay. We'll just leave it alone. Give them what they want. Or, you know what? I'm going to quit. Let somebody else deal with it. Martin Luther King. I really don't want to get involved. You guys got this. You guys are good. Over and over again in history, people have had to choose sometimes decisions that sucked. And that's unfortunately what's happening today is people don't want to make decisions that suck. People don't want to step out and at least try to do better. And that's what we need to do. How do we complain? How do we how do we change the world if we're too afraid to go and anonymously put a check mark in a box and have it counted? You can tell people all day you're voting for Trump and then vote for Kamala. No one's going to know. You can tell people all day you're going to vote for Trump and vote for Jill Stein. You can tell people you're voting for Kamala and vote for Trump. Anything. You can vote for Mickey Mouse. People have. You can vote for whoever you want, and no one will know because you go into this little box with a curtain, you fill out a sheet, you put it in a machine, and your name's not on it. They don't know. And they'll poll you, and you can lie in the poll because, again, they don't know you from anyone else. Your name, you don't have to put your name on the ballot. It's great. You vote for whoever you want. That's the point of what the system we live in. Vote your conscience, vote who you want. But stop believing the news when they say we all disagree. Stop believing them saying that we all hate each other and we can't get along because look at the world we live in and oh my God, we're all kind of, we're going to get into such unrest and civil war and da da da. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. Could it be ugly if it's really close and it doesn't look great? Absolutely. I hope not, but absolutely. That's the point, guys. It's a democratic republic trying to work. And it's not always pretty, it's not always perfect, but it's what we got. So, on election day coming up, encourage each other to vote. And when it's all done, hug your family, love them. And no matter what happens, they will still be your kids. They'll still be your mom, still be your dad, your sister, your brother the next day. My sister Margaret's probably not going to vote the way I do, but she'll still be my sister November 6th. And till the day we both leave this earth, she'll still be my sister. And nothing, no political affiliation, no voting cycle, none of that will change that. So just remember, we vote, we get along, and we move on. Till next week, everyone have a beautiful time, beautiful week, and I will see you all again soon.